Joining us now is UW-La Crosse Emeritus Professor of History, Greg Wegner. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Now, first for our viewers, tell us a little bit about your area of study.
My area of study focuses primarily on the Third Reich, more specifically education under the Third Reich. Along with that, I've been very interested in researching how the Holocaust is taught in the schools of both the United States and the Federal Republic of Germany.
Since this event in history, what has the world learned?
Well, that's a very good question. We're still struggling with that question. One could argue that the world has perhaps not learned enough in light of the genocides that have happened since 1945. Auschwitz is really a symbol of what can happen when a government uses ethnic hatred and anti-Semitism as a central policy of their existence. And so we know that about 1.2 million people were murdered at Auschwitz, most of them Jews. So when you come to Auschwitz today, you can actually go to the pond where the ashes of the dead were dumped after the bodies were burned. This is a very humbling kind of experience when you come there. It's also the biggest cemetery in the world, and it should give all of us pause to really think about what can happen in a human society when hatred becomes the order of the day.
Now, you've been to Auschwitz several times.
Yes.
And what have you learned through those experiences? Why have you gone? What have you taken back?
Well, what keeps me coming back to this, the biggest death camp of the Third Reich, is that it wasn't science that caused Auschwitz. It was the insatiable human appetite for power and control. And that was actually a thought that was shared with many of us by a famous physicist named Jacob Bernowski, who lost all of his family in Auschwitz death camp. And it was very hard for him to go back to visit Auschwitz, as you can imagine. Mm-hmm. And he went back to the pond where the ashes of the dead were dumped and made this statement before the cameras as a scientist. That really affected the way I have viewed Auschwitz. Auschwitz is a place we hope that will remain preserved as a memorial, but also as a place of research for future scholars as well, and other human beings who come to visit the camp.
As the survivors of this place are aging and,
Yes.
and losing their lives, what type of responsibility do we have to continue on their message? Because many of them travel the world talking about this experience.
Yes.
What should we do as world citizens?
I think what we need to do is continue researching the Third Reich and the Holocaust. The United States Holocaust Memorial Museum has been working with great dedication toward that end, also in supporting teachers. I think we need to see more attention to the problem of human genocide in our school curriculums. Auschwitz represents one genocide, one of the most monstrous of the 20th century, and I fear that we already are forgetting. If you take a look at what's been happening in the world in terms of mass murder, one could make a case that we have not learned what we need to learn from the case of Auschwitz. As one famous survivor, Primo Levi, once wrote, Auschwitz is first and foremost an alarm signal to the world of what can happen when race hatred becomes the order of the day. And I think his words still ring true today.
Thank you so much for your time and all of your insight. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
A Holocaust survivor is visiting La Crosse in about 2 months. Eva Scholes, a childhood friend of Anne Frank, is coming to Viterbo on March 26th. The presentation starts at 7 p.m. and is open to the public. Tickets will be $15 for main floor seating and $10 for balcony seating.